Well, I'm joined now by the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, Nils Melzer, in Geneva. Thanks for talking to us on Euronews now. Well, it's tempting to focus on what's still left to do, but remind people, if you can, how much has been achieved since the first Human Rights Day in 1948.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, obviously you're absolutely right. I think particularly with regard to the prohibition of torture, which is my mandate for the United Nations, unprecedented efforts have been taken since 1948 with regard to, with a view to prohibiting and eradicating torture throughout the world. So we've seen treaties concluded, we have, on the universal basis, we've seen regional treaties concluded, we have seen courts established that are now rendering judgments on torture and ill treatment and other human rights on a daily basis in the various regions of the world. We have a plethora of mechanisms and monitoring institutions, like myself as well in my mandate, that help to implement these human rights on a daily basis. So I think we've come a long way in these 70 years. We've also seen civil society develop a strong voice in overseeing what's happening in the world.
Okay, you say we've come a long way, but also in your report you say that humanity hasn't learned the lessons from the Second World War. So can you give us some more details on that?
Yeah, I think unfortunately we see that humans learn as individuals and not as species. So every generation basically has to learn the lesson again. That does not necessarily mean that we have to go through catastrophes if we take those lessons of history seriously. Unfortunately, I believe that today what we see is a regressive tendency, right at the time when most of the witnesses of the Second World War, which gave rise to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, have basically died away. And so now we're confronted with global challenges in terms of environment, migration, human rights, security, stability, financial stability, trade, and so on. And the global governance structures we've created 70 years ago simply don't provide direct responses for these challenges yet. So what we see now, in my view, is a regressive tendency where every state kind of tries to withdraw to its borders and focus on sovereignty and national interests, which then creates frictions with the globalized system and also, as a result, human rights violations.
Nils Melzer, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, thanks for talking about that with us on Euronews Now.